Margaret Brennan joining us on CBSDenver.com. You're preparing for Face the Nation, of course, coming up this Sunday, Margaret. Today, the Democrats saying they'll vote next week to block the presidential national emergency to get his border wall money. Late today, the president saying he'll veto any congressional effort to stop him. So I guess we're headed to the courts. Is that what this looks like?
Yes, that is the expectation, that this will be fought out in the courts. And as the president has predicted, he thinks it'll go to the Supreme Court. But what this presents is a really big question here. And the Democrats who are moving forward with this bill in the House, which is expected to pass there, then may be able to persuade some of their Republican colleagues in the Senate to sign on to it, because a number of conservatives are concerned that this is a dangerous precedent to set for the commander-in-chief to be able to bypass an entire portion of the government, bypass Congress entirely, which is supposed to have the power of the purse strings, and instead say, I want to do something that all of you have not agreed to in terms of policy, and do it anyway, and in fact take money from other areas that you haven't approved and reallocate them, is something that concerns many conservatives as well when it comes to the future of the presidency, how this could be abused by future presidents. And so it raises questions about how our democracy is supposed to be functioning, and whether Republicans will rebuke the president for doing something that they have been highly critical of past Democratic attempts to do in terms of executive overreach. So if you're a strict constitutionalist, you are interested in what happens on this front.
Absolutely. Now looking like the Mueller report on the Russian election interference will not be released next week, but we don't think it'll be too much longer. What are the odds that Attorney General Barr will keep some of the findings from Congress and the public?
Well, there are very low expectations that every single part of this report will be made public. The question is whether the major findings will be, whether the Attorney General deems it in the public interest and, frankly, in the interest of our democracy to make it public in some. And it's not clear yet. President Trump has said he's deferring to the Attorney General. Obviously, he has his own personal preferences, and it raises the question, if there truly is nothing there, could this public disclosure and this transparency lift the political cloud that he has said has overhung his presidency since day one? Or are there parts of this report that do create some troubling questions in terms of connections between all of those who've been charged or pled guilty or been indicted? We are now above 30 different people and some companies who have been charged, indicted by the special counsel. Are there connections between them and the president or those close to the president? And so we will be entering a new phase of this with a lot of legal questions, potentially a lot of political questions, because while you may not see prosecution, does it lend any kind of a rope to impeachment proceedings, or does it go away entirely?
Who's on Face the Nation this weekend?
Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold.
No problem.
We will have Senator Roy Blunt, Republican of Missouri, on the program to answer these questions about how the Senate is going to vote on trying to block that national emergency. Also talk to him about what he's seeing. He sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee happening with this Russia probe. We're looking ahead to the North Korea summit as well. The president will be meeting with Kim Jong-un next week, and we want to preview some of that. And we've got an interesting interview, actually, with a Republican Congressman, Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, who just returned from his military duty, patrolling the U.S. border. And we want to talk to him about how that experience impacted how he's thinking about immigration and the president's decision to declare a national emergency.
Yeah, he should have some great insights just back from the border. Margaret, thanks so much. We'll see you on Face the Nation. Appreciate your time.